Welcome to another episode of Battle Axe, coming to you as always from the Bustin' Axe Throwing Range in Dubuque. I'm Joey Danya alongside Bobby Bradford. It is week number 2 here in season number 11 of Battle Axe. If you're new to the program, before we get things started here in week number 2, let's go over some of the new rules here on Battle Axe. All of the rings are worth 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 points. The bullseye is worth 6 points. And then you see 4 red dots in the 3 ring as well. Those are worth 6 points also. At any point during a match, a player can hit it, and they'll get 6 points. But then they can no longer score 6 points once they've hit that bullseye in the first half of a match until they get to the second half, and then they can try and hit them again. The kill shot is worth 8 points. If a player hits it, they get the 8 points. If they miss it, they get nothing. You can go for 2 kill shots per match. Let's take a look at what everyone is competing for here on Battle Axe, Bobby.
Oh, yeah, this is the beautiful championship that everyone will be vying for throughout the season. Currently held by Matt the Magic Man Bradshaw. But with these new rules, we saw him throw up some threes in week 1. We did see him rebound with a nice 61, though. But there's a lot of competitors that can challenge him for the number 1 spot. And should be a great tournament when that time comes. But as it stands right now, Joey, we're in week 2. We got to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it is a 7-week regular season, and it all leads up to a double elimination postseason tournament to crown a Battle Axe champion. Before we get things started here in week number 2, let's take a look at the standings after 1 week of competition. Matt the Magic Man Bradshaw is the defending champion, and he sits atop the leaderboard, a perfect 4-0, averaging more than 50 points per game.
Yeah, Matt with a tremendous week 1. We really saw him implement his new strategy that we've seen also a couple other players do as well. But following Matt the Magic Man is Leroy Kedley, Michelle Fremelt, Justin Smith, Ann Welp, Beth Jen, Gina Feenstra, Jill Kedley, Nancy Kramer, and because he did not perform in week 1, Eric Schitzel is in last place.
Good to see Eric the Scope back to competition. Let's get things started here in week number 2. Our first matchup will be a rematch from our last matchup of week number 1. It'll be Jill Kedley taking on Ann Welp.
Yeah, so Ann Welp and Jill Kedley went to sudden death in week 1. So we said, hey, why not do a rematch here?
It was Jill Kedley getting the victory in sudden death, nearly hitting the kill shot.
So Jill and Ann both finished week 1 at 2-2. A nice 5 there by Ann Welp to get the night started. And as we saw in week 1, Joey, Jill was having a little bit of a tough time with her release point. So she was holding on to that axe just a little bit too long. We'll see if she's made any adjustments to have a little more consistent release point. You can see Ann shaking her head, disappointed with that throw there. And again, not as bad as we saw last week, but still holding on to the axe just a little bit too long. There's Jill Kedley.
Oh, got you.
And Welp gains another point. She's got a 9-7 lead over Jill Kedley.
Yeah, so these competitors know that they're very evenly matched. Very little room for error.
4.
Now it's sailing on her a little bit, but that's part of the process, Joey. You hold on to the axe a little bit too long, then you start releasing it a little early. It's a dangerous game.
Ann Welp and Jill Kedley still looking for their first bullseye of the match. They didn't hit any bullseyes in their last match a week ago as well.
Initially called a 5 there for both competitors, but I think Jill, as she's getting up there, sees that was a 4, so they make the change. So Ann able to get another point on her. Doing a pretty good job of being the aggressor here early on, able to take advantage of all Jill's mistakes. Oh.
Well, a devastating drop there from Ann Welp. We'll see if Jill Kedley takes advantage, and she does. It's a 4 to give her the lead.
She does take advantage, and for Ann, we've seen her have some drops in the past, but just seemed like that throw didn't have enough force behind it. It looks like the blade hit the wood, so it wasn't a situation where the head of the axe was hitting the wood first. See how she responds, and it looks like she does with a 5 there. Initially called a 4, but I think it's popping through on that right-hand side.
5 it is.
Well, a nice way for Ann Welp to respond after that drop. She gets things started with a 5 here in the second half to tie the game at 23.
Well, with these evenly matched opponents, you can see you can come back in this game even after a devastating drop.
6.
Looks like a nice bullseye there for Jill, so she's able to become the aggressor here, put the pedal to the metal. Has a 2-point lead going into the 8th throw.
29,
So Jill Kedley can no longer score 6 on the center bullseye. We'll see how she plays the rest of this one. She looks to get a win over Ann Welp.
It's a nice throw there by Ann. It looks like that could be a bullseye if it's popping through. And it is, and I
Anne's
like
up
the
by
aggressive
one,
call
number
there
9,
for Jill. She's
32.
going for that upper left-hand bullseye. Not off the mark by much.
So Ann Welp with her first bullseye of the matchup. This one is getting very interesting.
You can see, I think Ann might have been going for that upper
4-4.
right-hand bullseye there. She's off the mark, but a couple 4s.
Another nail-biting
Throw,
finish
number
in
10.
store between Ann Welp
Jill's down by
and Jill
1,
Kedley.
36-37.
They went to sudden death a week ago. We'll see how they finish things out here in week number 2.
Looks like a 4, and then it's a
4-3.
3 there for Ann Welp. So, hey, Joey,
That'll be 40 apiece.
is it deja vu?
Sudden death.
Here we go. Sudden death once again between Ann Welp and Jill Kedley. Whoever can hit the kill shot or get closer will be the victor.
Well, we saw last week Jill Kedley was closer to the kill shot, and we were talking about it a little bit, that she's more comfortable going for the kill shot than Ann Welp is, but we'll see if last week can carry over for Ann and see if she can get closer to the kill shot than she did. But, man, what can you say? Back-to-back sudden deaths, Joey. Ooh,
Well,
very
a great
close.
attempt there from Ann Welp,
Ooh, that is.
and a great attempt from Jill Kedley as well. This
Wow.
is going to come down to a ruling from Eric the Scope.
And you can see Eric the Scope's going to have to get a close look at both of these because, man, they are very close.
No, Jill's got that one by about.
Oh, yeah, you can see there from the
Right over
side
here, you
cam,
guys
Jill
don't take a
definitely
look.
closer, but what a throw there by Ann Welp as well.
Once you get on that other side, yeah, there's more than a finger.
Well, a thrilling finish here between Jill Kedley and Ann Welp. Kedley gets the win by a matter of centimeters.
Yeah, so that's the kind of progression, though, Joe, you want to see from players, you know. So Ann definitely had a really nice match. She had that bullseye there on her 8th throw. She did have that devastating drop on her 5th throw, but that didn't stop her from keep putting points on the board. And you can see that progression from last week to this week of getting really close to that kill shot. Maybe she's getting a little more comfortable being adventurous with it. And then for Jill, she did kind of hold on to that axe just a little bit too long on the 2nd throw. She did make an overcorrection there on her 4th throw, but for her, she's finding that release point, and for she's still staying aggressive, going for those outside the bubble kill shots, and then or outside the bubble bullseyes and those kill shots as well. So Jill improves her record to 3-2 with another tremendous matchup.
Next up, we've got Leroy the Lumberjack Kedley. He'll be taking on Michelle Frummelt.
So Leroy had a good first week, and as you can see there from the record, so did Michelle, both coming in at 3-1.
4-4.
A couple 4s there to get the night started. No, so
So Michelle Frummelt, wondering if that was a 5 for Kedley, but he took it out quickly. So it'll be a 4.
he might have left some points on the board, but see if it comes back to bite him. That looks like a nice 5 there. Ooh, a nice bullseye there for
5-6.
Michelle. I think Michelle's pointing that looks like it could be a 6 as well.
Get some red on that one. All right, hold up.
So Erickson can get there, take a little closer look.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, it looks like it's popping through on the bottom part of that
6-6.
blade.
So a couple of bullseyes from Michelle Frummelt and Leroy Kedley.
Now, Leroy said in his interview last week that he was going to be aggressive going for those outside the bubble bullseyes, electing to play the middle of the board.
5-4.
And as we saw from the matches from Michelle, she is going to be sticking in that middle of the board, trying to put up consistent 5s and 6s. A strategy that's worked out for her.
Yeah, she's been off to a nice start this season.
Pretty fun.
See if she can keep it going here against Leroy Kedley.
4-4.
A little off the mark there. Get a
Not
little
bad,
little
but
bit of a
they,
wobble in
they
that
already
axe.
canceled this count.
We'll see. Initially ruled a 4 there for Leroy.
Yeah, I'm going to look at them all.
So Eric's getting his steps in today. Oh,
Yep, I'll do. Right when it's across, you
wow.
got it.
So ruled a 5 there now. So a 2-point lead here for Leroy Kedley going into the 5th throw.
Both of these competitors taking their time, honing in, trying to
4-4.
land that bullseye.
All right, Leroy's up by 2.
We'll see if we get
24-22.
another
Switch
close look
sides.
here. It seems like every throw Leroy's had, he's had to get up there with the magnifying glass. But not going to contest it this time. 2-point lead going into the turn.
Yep. Switch sides.
So Fremmelt and Kedley happy to just focus in on the center of the board. We'll see how they play things here in the second half.
Yeah, so Leroy should return to the middle of the board here. Hasn't been adventurous going for those outside the bubble bullseyes.
4 or 5. 4
But I don't know when he's wanting to try that strategy out. But, I mean, there's no time like the present.
Yeah, you would rather do it sooner than later, that's for sure.
But Michelle, with her steady as she goes approach, has definitely shown to be beneficial. It's just when you're going up against a competitor, you know, like when she went up against Matt the Magic Man, you know, he's being aggressive going for those outside bullseyes. If you're staying in the middle of the lane, you're kind of relying on them to make a mistake. And you never want to rely on your opponent to make a mistake. You always want to be the aggressor, forcing their hand.
6-6.
Well, a nice throw there from Leroy Kedley and a nice throw from
Ooh.
Michelle Fremmelt as well.
So a couple ruled sixes, but they're up close and they see that it's a 5.
Eric the Scope going to come in and get a closer look at that one. So it is a 5.
5-5.
So it remains a 3-point lead for Leroy Kedley.
The scope dialing in his scope there a little bit, so trying to hone in his judging skills here. Looks like a 5 there for Leroy and a 4 there for Michelle. So with one throw to go, Michelle is down by 4. Unfortunately, relying on Leroy to make a mistake
Throw
here.
number 10. Leroy's up by 4 points.
Kedley looking to put this one away.
That's where I'd like to see Leroy even be aggressive. I mean, he has the points to work with.
5-4.
We haven't seen a lot of drops out of him, so maybe good time to go for one of those outside bullseyes.
48-43. Leroy takes it.
Leroy Kedley gets the win over Michelle Fremmelt, 48-43.
Yeah, so Leroy improves his record to 4-1. He did only have the one bullseye there on his second throw, but staying really consistent in the middle of that board. We've seen that be very successful in leagues past. And for Michelle, she falls to 3-2. She did have that nice bullseye there on the second throw. I think she just got stuck in that vortex a little bit, and unfortunately for her, she falls to Leroy Kedley here. But both players staying in the middle of that board. They're not getting too adventurous. They're just trying to eliminate mistakes so that they can start to progress. Hopefully, towards the remainder of the season, they get a little more adventurous and start going for those outside the bubble bullseyes or possibly some kill shots.
Leroy Kedley improving to 4-1 on the season. Here is an interview with the Lumberjack about his season thus far.
Consistent. I want to venture outside my comfort zone and go for the outer bullseyes and some more kill shots and stuff like that. But I think I'm comfortable. I'm kind of zoned in on a lot of 5s. I mean, I still get some 4s, but yeah, all in all, pretty good, I guess.
Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Another win for Leroy Kedley. Much more Battle Axe still to come. Stay tuned here to MC22. Welcome back to Battle Axe. Coming to you as always from the Bustin' Axe Throwing Range in Dubuque. I'm Joey Danya alongside Bobby Bradford. We are just getting things started here in week number 2 of season number 11. Ann Welp will be our next competitor. She's going to take on Beth Jen.
Yeah, so we saw Ann in the first matchup go to sudden death with Jill Kedley. And we know that Beth's coming in at 1-3, being adventurous, going for those outside bullseyes. We'll see if Ann can eliminate those drops. And I can already tell from tonight, Joey, that Ann's blade is hitting that wood much more flush. She did have that drop in her first matchup with Jill, but much more consistent into the wood there.
Hold on, I'll go check.
And Ann is going to have Eric the Scope take a closer look at this one. We'll see if that's a 4 or perhaps a 5.
4 or 3 there, because if it's popping through.
Line over here yet.
So rule to 3 there for Ann Welp.
Still 3.
Need to get my eyes checked, I guess.
It's going around, Joey. It's going around. We've had a lot of close calls here.
Beth Jen with a flush bullseye to get things started, and you can expect her to go for the outside bullseye right about now.
We'll see how her progression has come, and there it looks like it hit there on the left-hand side.
4-6.
You can see
Beth
Beth
Jen
pumped.
is fired up. She's been working so hard to get those outside bullseyes, and a perfect start here to this one.
Yeah, she has a chance at a unicorn here. So we'll see if she can hit that with one of those outside bullseyes. And electing to play the middle of the board, but still that axe is hitting nice and flush.
You jinxed her, Bobby.
I did. I jinxed her.
You don't speak of the unicorn until it happens.
Exactly. Sorry. I apologize to Beth. I'll write her a letter later on.
So Beth Jen extending her lead to 4.
There's a nice throw there by Ann. That looks like that could be a bullseye. And Beth
6,
off the mark,
2.
going for that lower right-hand side bullseye. And Ann, with that bullseye, able to tie this
Throw
thing up,
number
Joey.
5 tied at 18.
So we'll see how Ann Welp plays the board here now that she has hit the center bullseye.
We'll see if Ann can make it 3 matches in a row going to sudden death. And with throws like that, she's going to create some separation. Looks like a 5 there for Ann and a
5,
3 there
3.
for Beth Jen, who is... It's got to be happy with that throw,
Alright,
Joey. I
21
mean,
to
she
23.
obviously didn't hit the bullseye
Ann's up
there,
by
but it
2,
wasn't
switch sides.
that big of a miss.
So Ann Welp will take a 2-point lead into the second half. Beth Jen, not really concerned about the score of this matchup. She's just concerned about getting those outside bullseyes into her arsenal.
Yeah, and I think she's got to be really happy with the progress that she's made. You know, that last throw that she had, that was a 3 on her 5th throw. Very close to being a bullseye. And with a nice start to the turn here with the bullseye as well. So able to pick up 2 points here on Beth Jen. Another nice release point there by Ann.
5-2.
And Beth is off the mark. As we talked about before, Joey, you know, not all 4s are the same. You know, there's a lot of misses that are very close to being, you know, targets that they're aiming for. But for Beth, she's kind of getting a little erratic with that outside the bullseye throw. Not there, though.
4,
She
6.
says, zip it, Bobby.
Exactly.
Flush bullseye there from
Throw
Beth
number
Jen.
9, and Ann
That'll get her
ends up
within
by
5.
Yeah, so just focusing up on that throw. Did a really nice job. That was a flush bullseye, probably her best one of the night. We'll see if she can replicate it. Looks like she's going for the bottom right and not off the mark by much.
So yeah, it seems like Beth Jen starting to figure some things out here in week 2. When she's missing
Number 10,
those outside
last
bullseyes,
row.
she's not missing by
And
much.
you're up by
Correct. Yeah,
5.
we saw it with Matt the Magic Man in his second game of week 1. You can really figure it out quickly. For Beth, it's just got to be good to see the progression start to pay off. Ooh. Just as we speak, though.
A rare
37,
drop
47.
from Beth Jen,
Ann's gonna
and
take the
it's
win
another
on that
win
one.
for Ann Welp,
Nice shoot.
47 to 37.
Michelle
You
and
can see
Leroy.
Beth checking out that piece of wood there. Looked like there was a knot in that. Maybe she just hit that perfectly for that drop. But for her, I think she can really hang her hat that the work she's putting in is progressing and really paying off. So she did have 3 bullseyes there. She had 2 twos, but that's a result of being aggressive going for those outside bullseyes. She did have that 3 on her 5th throw that was very close to being a 6 as well. So she's doing a great job of progressing. And then for Ann, just another nice solid round. She had that 3 to start, but everything else was 5, 6s, and 4s. So no drops from her. So she improves her record to 3 and 3. No sudden death this time, but you know there's still plenty more matches to go.
It's another loss for Beth Jen, but a big step forward in the right direction for where she wants to go. Here's Jen on her progress thus far.
Yeah, I had a really strong start with a couple bullseyes right off the bat. So kind of those middle throws, really working on those and making sure that I don't kind of wane or throw left or right on those. If I can figure that out, then finish strong, which I do a pretty good job of. So if I can clean up the middle, I think I'll be in good shape.
Well, last week we didn't get a look at Eric the Scope Shizzle. The former champion suffered an injury to his elbow on his right arm, his dominant hand, but he's going to play this season with his left hand as he's done before. Here's Eric the Scope on his injury.
Yeah, I had a little incident again, a broken elbow again, and I'm back to throwing left-handed again. I don't know. It's kind of a bummer. Still hurts a little bit. Just got out of surgery last week, so it still kind of hurts a little. So we're doing our best to manage the pain and be able to throw and kind of focus. So we'll see improvement for the next couple of weeks. That's for sure. I know this first week for me, I was not in last week, but for the second week, my games are interesting. for the first week out for me. That being said, it's just going to be practice. It's going to take some time and get used to throwing left-handed again. And, before you know it, we'll be back on top and win another championship here left-handed.
Well, we've seen him do it before. Eric the Scope knows how to throw well with that left hand, and he's going to try and do it once again.
Yeah, no matter what the hand, Eric is going to be confident. So he'll come in with his first match here in the season 11 versus Jill Kedley.
All right, Eric the Scope and Jill Kedley going head-to-head. Our first look in season number 11 at the former champion, Eric the Scope Shizzle.
I know for all you wondering out there, Eric will make up week 1 matches off camera, so he'll get caught up here in no time.
6-5.
Got a nice start there by Jill and a nice throw there by Eric as well.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that he was not left-handed by that
Correct.
throw.
Yeah, Eric is one of those very talented throwers. It's just going to be a matter of time. I'll be interested to see because he did have that going outside the bubble strategy last season, Joey. We'll see if he carries that over with the left hand or if he's just going to focus up on the middle of the board, try to really hone in that throw.
Yeah, I wouldn't know exactly what's going on in the mind of Eric the Scope, but you would think the goal at first would be to get comfortable once again with the left hand, and then maybe you can get a little
Correct.
more adventurous.
Yeah, we know he's a very aggressive player, confident player, capable of making any throw. But of course, there is an adjustment period, and as he said in his interview, there's pain management. So
sorry, okay? They're on different sides
he's got to manage that pain and focus up on the throw.
Yeah, and you've got to get used to just having that right arm completely out of commission. It's
Correct.
not going to play any part of his throw here.
Oh, did I swear?
Yep. So there's a nice throw there by Eric the Scope. And a nice throw there by Jill Kedley going for that outside bullseye. And Beth Jen's going to get a closer look, but that could be a couple bullseyes there, Joey.
Yeah, some players like to use that non-dominant hand to kind of, as a brace,
Correct.
to kind of steady their body or steady the axe. Eric the Scope's just got to let it sit in the brace.
Correct, exactly. Yeah, so Eric off the mark slightly, man. Very close to being a bullseye. I thought he had it with the bottom of the blade, but Beth Jen got a closer look and determined that it was a 5 to no protest by Eric the Scope. But, man, yeah, his first 3 throws, man, he's been pretty accurate, pretty good release point. And I like Jill's aggressive moves, going for those outside bullseyes, and she is not off the mark by much. And looks like a 5 there for Eric, unless he's claiming it's a bullseye.
So Beth Jen officiating with Eric the Scope competing, and it is a bullseye. So great throw from Eric the Scope. He's got a 2-point lead.
Well, I guess we'll see what his strategy here is on the 5th throw, whether he wants to elect to play the middle of the board. He's been pretty accurate with it so far. And we know Jill's been aggressive going for those outside bullseyes. She's returned to the middle of the board, though. Looks like that could be a 4, possibly a 5 if it's popping through on the top part of that blade, but should come as no surprise. Eric the Scope being aggressive going for that bullseye.
Love to see it. There is no challenge too great for Eric the Scope.
Well, the victory wouldn't be as sweet if he didn't play his game, so he's not going to back down from a challenge. Although Jill doing a nice job of capitalizing on Eric's 3, she ties this thing up 23-23 going into the turn. We'll see how they fare on the other side. Both kind of holding on to the axe just a little too long there, but not nearly as devastating of a miss as we saw from Jill in week 1. She's done a good job of kind of honing that release point in. 2 bullseyes there on her card so far. Let's see if she can add some more.
27 all, 4 throws to go. Perhaps we'll see sudden death once again.
Absolutely. Let's just make it a theme. Everything goes to sudden death.
Nothing better than sudden death here on Battle Axe.
So another couple 4s, so they're tracking in the right direction.
Okay, 4-4.
Eric's getting a closer look. It's not popping through on that left-hand side of the blade, but 31-31. And I can see it. You can see it in Jill. She's very aware of what Eric's doing. She's really got to eliminate that from her game. She's got to focus up on that board, play her game. And there's a great throw. What a throw. Eric with a 5 there, it looks like, but
Crucial ruling here from Beth Jen.
All right, 6-5.
So it is a 5, and that bullseye gives Kedley a 1-point
Jill is up
lead
by
with
1.
2
This is
throws to
4-9.
go.
Okay, so both competitors really putting on a nice show here. I think Eric's talking a little bit. He's doing some math in his head, trying to figure some stuff out.
Okay, kill
Wow.
shot
Eric
all
the
way.
Scope is going to go for the kill shot.
And I
Kill
believe
shot
Jill
on the
is as
left.
well.
Well, he's living up to his reputation as one of, if not the most aggressive players in this league. This will be fun to watch.
Wow, we were wondering if he was going to be conservative, and Jill off the mark, but not by much. But yeah, we were wondering if Eric was going to be conservative. We look like fools now because, of course, Eric is going to be aggressive, and he's calling for it again.
How silly of me to even suggest such a thing. They're going to go for the kill shot again. So this one is going to come down to a kill shot, whether it's here or in sudden death.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that both these competitors have proven now that they're going to be very aggressive with the kill shot.
Miss.
And we know how beneficial that can be in the
Right.
tournament. Although they miss here, Jill
takes
comes
it,
out with the victory, but
37-36.
those are some valuable throws they just had.
So Jill Kedley getting a 1-point win over Eric the Scope. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, Jill coming out. She had 3 bullseyes there on the card, but I think most importantly, Joey, is that she really found that release point. She didn't have that 2 that we saw in week 1, so she's doing a good job of really finding her release point and finding her consistent throw. And then for Eric, he just came out the gate really hot. He put together a really nice round there, throwing with his left hand, still being aggressive, going for those outside bullseyes, and then, of course, going for those really aggressive kill shots there in the 9th and 10th throw. But Jill will not be intimidated, so she went up with him, and she came out the victor.
Yeah, I love to see Kedley get just as aggressive when Eric the Scope decided to go for the kill shot. So did she. Here's Kedley on her strategy.
I am trying to work around the board. I am taking advantage of the new rules. We have some big bullseyes in that 3 space, so taking advantage and trying to get them. I've improved so much on my throws, so I'm able to hit those, and I hit a couple on the last game to help me get a 1-up on Eric and win that one.
Jill Kedley getting the win over Eric the Scope. Much more Battle Axe still to come. Stay tuned to MC22. Welcome back to Battle Axe here at the Busted Axe Throwing Range in Dubuque. I'm Joey Danya alongside Bobby Bradford. It's been an exciting start to week number 2.
Oh, yeah, we start the night off with some sudden death and then some really close matches as well. So a lot of these players figuring out these boards, figuring out their strategy, and it's getting made for a great TV.
Let's get right into our next matchup. It'll be Eric the Scope Shizzle. He'll be taking on Beth Jen.
Beth Jen and Eric has become a classic rivalry here on Battle Axe. These two have had many famous bouts here on the show, so this should be a good one.
2 of the best in this league going head-to-head. Eric the Scope with his left hand, Beth Jen with a new strategy.
And I know we said at the league that he was throwing with his left hand prior, but it cannot be understated how difficult it is to switch your hand and then be as consistent as Eric the Scope is being. So his first matchup with Jill, he fell 36-37, but really consistent in the middle of that board and still being very aggressive going for those outside bullseyes.
Yeah, it is remarkably impressive just how good and competitive Eric the Scope is with his left hand. It's so hard even with your dominant hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And he nearly misses a beat
Yes.
when he switches hands.
Well, as you said, Joey, in his first matchup, if he didn't have the sling on his right arm, you wouldn't believe that he was right-handed. So a tremendous competitor. Finding that looks like a 4, maybe a 5 that's popping through on the bottom part of that blade, and Beth is off the mark with that bullseye. She's going to be lucky if that's a 3, Joey.
Pretty sure that's in, but I can't tell.
Jill's going to get a closer look.
Touching, so 5.
Rolled a 5.
Is that a shadow?
She's got to get a closer look. It's very close for Beth, and it's a huge swing here if that's a 2 instead of a 3.
A
Ooh.
2.
Well, a devastating 2 for Beth Jen. She quickly finds herself in a 5-point hole to Eric the Scope. Both Jen and Shizzle still both looking for their first
Eric up by
bullseye of the
5.
match.
Throw number 4.
Well, and that's the thing that Beth has got to definitely eliminate from her game with her new strategy. She's got to, if she's going to miss, she can't miss by that much because those are what really puts you behind the 8 ball in not only this competition, but future competitions as well.
Well, that one much closer, and she was really playing well in her last matchup, so she'll look to try and get back into that rhythm and build off of it.
Yeah, so for Eric, that's a 4 there, very close to being a 5. But yeah, you can see Beth getting a closer look. She was very close to hitting that 3, but it's just that consistency with it. You know, you don't want an erratic blade in any competition.
Beth Jen continuing to try and get those outside bullseyes. There's been a lot of growing pains, but she's hoping towards the end of the season it'll be paying off in a big-time way.
Well, we've seen it with Matt before in the past, too. Like, he's changed up his throw a little bit, and then there's this learning curve, you know, where you have to kind of figure it out. Of course, we've seen it with Eric when he has to throw with his left hand. He's got to figure that out. But those are all tools that you can add to your tool belt. And then the good players have those ready at hand.
Yeah, usually it's when you're uncomfortable, when the biggest amount of growth is taking place.
Exactly.
And that's what's happening here for Beth Jen. Eric the Scope
Can't tell on that angle.
hoping for a 5, and it is a 5. So he extends the lead to 8.
Yeah, so an 8-point lead going into the 7th throw for the Scope. We know he's going to be aggressive. And he's one of the masters at keeping the pedal to the metal. Keep putting pressure on your opponent.
Still no bullseyes in this one for Eric or Beth. We'll see if she can change that. Just missed that outer bullseye, so
Another 2
that's
there.
a 2. And Eric the Scope now with a commanding 10-point lead with 3 throws to go.
Yep, and so like we were saying last week, Joey, you just want that good throw that keeps you going to the next match. You just want something to build on. She's had some close misses. Eric holding on to the axis a little bit too long there. Beth returns to the middle of the board.
Did you touch it on
And I
that
don't think
side?
that's popping through for a 5. I think that's going to be a 4 for both competitors. And it is.
So still a 10-point lead for the Scope. We'll see if he wants to go up for a kill shot again here.
I wouldn't
throw
see why
number
he wouldn't. He's
9,
very
Eric
aggressive going for the kill shot, and I believe he just called for it right there, right on cue.
No surprise here. The Scope going for the kill shot.
Beth didn't call it, did she?
Beth Jen not going up with him.
No, she's going to elect to play the middle of the board. She's going to elect to play that outside bullseye, and Eric is off the mark. So Beth is able to get at least 3 points on him. I think that's
3.
safe to say, but man, if she would have hit that bullseye, that would have been nice.
It would have made things a little more interesting on the final throw.
Kill shot called.
And once again, the Scope going for the kill shot. Beth Jen could put herself in position to win this one if she went up for the kill shot.
Yeah, I'd like to see her go for it. I don't understand why she's not.
She's staying true to that strategy of just focusing on those outer bullseyes.
Oh, and Eric is off the mark, so if she would have gone for that kill shot and hit it, she could have snuck away with the victory here, but she's really focusing on those outside bullseyes. We know those kill shots are there, though, too, Joey.
Yeah, those are shots that are just as
Eric
important
takes
to
that
have
one,
in your
36 to
arsenal.
32.
Eric the Scope gets the win, 36-32.
Yeah, so Eric comes away with his first victory of the year, but as we saw there, Joey, Beth was down by 7 there on that 10th throw. Elects to not go for that kill shot. I mean, even to get that throw under your belt is something that would be very beneficial for Beth Jen. We've seen, championships been won by kill shots, so... But she's staying true to her strategy, going for those outside bullseyes. Unfortunately for either competitor, they did not have a single bullseye, so kind of a rare thing for these two caliber of throwers. Beth falls to 1-5. Eric improves his record to 1-1.
A great matchup between these two legends of this league, and we look forward to seeing their progression throughout this season. Time now for our next matchup. It's going to be Gina Feenstra against a newcomer to the league this year, Justin Smith.
Yeah, so we saw Justin's debut in week 1 versus Joe Kedley. He came out with the victory. He came into week number 2 at 2-2, and Gina at 1-3. Looks like he's holding on to the axis a little too long there. Looks like a 4. Oh, and lucky that was a 4 there for Justin, not a 3. Top part of that blade must have been popping through.
And Justin had a nice debut last week on Battle Axe. We'll see if he can keep that momentum going here in week number 2.
And we'll have to get a closer look, but I think that bottom part of the blade could be popping through there for Gina for a bullseye. We shall see. And ruled a bullseye there for Gina Feenstra.
Yeah, it's not so clear.
Unfortunately for her, that was a 4 there for Justin.
So Gina Feenstra out to the early 2-point advantage. over Justin Smith.
And then for Gina, she's just got to focus up on that board, keep playing her game. And the axe
5-2.
slipping away from her a little bit there. Not a well-timed 2.
Nice throw from Justin Smith. He gets within a point after throwing a 5.
Yeah, so Justin able to take advantage of Gina's 2. There's a nice throw there. Good release point there by Justin. It looks like that could be a 5,
3-5.
possibly a 6 if that blade's popping through on the bottom part. But he elects to not challenge it. And it looks like Gina's got an issue with her throw, so she's going to call Eric over. Oh, looks like that's popping through on the
that
4.
might be a 4. And it is. So that will get Gina Feenstra
right, throw number
within
5.
2.
Yeah, so for Gina, again, living in that 4, 5, and 6 ring is really huge. I mean, she's coming back to the league. She's got just to find her consistent throw. There's a
5-4.
couple nice throws there. So
To be 20,
Justin able to get
23.
another point. So
Justin's up by 3
23-20
points.
going
They
into the
switch
turn.
sides.
So Justin Smith and Gina Feenstra switch sides and get ready to go here in the second half of a 3-point game.
Ooh, holding on to the axe just a little too long. There's Justin and Gina with a nice throw.
2-4.
So Feenstra taking advantage of that miscue from Justin Smith. She gets herself within a point.
And we've seen that with a lot of competitors this season so far, Joey, is holding on to that axe just a little too long, trying to find that consistent release point. There's a better one there from Justin. And it looks like a 4 there for Gina.
So it remains a 1-point lead for Justin Smith. Just 3 throws to go.
And what I noticed with Gina's throw, she's got a lot of motion in her throw. I'd like to really see her kind of tighten it up a little bit, maybe eliminate some of that erratic nature of her
4,
axe.
3.
You can see she pulls the axe back quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's exactly what can happen when you do that. A 2
2.
that really got away from Gina Feenstra. But we'll see if it's a 3. No, it's a 2.
All right, we're at 30.
So it'll be a
33 on
3-point
9.
lead for
up by
Justin
3
Smith
points.
heading into the 9th throw.
Yeah, so Gina's still very much in this. So looks like that's a 5 there for Justin. And it looks like a
4,
4
5.
there for Gina.
So Justin Smith closing in
Number
on
9.
another win. He leads it 38-34 with a 10th throw coming.
And at this point, I'd normally
Sorry,
recommend Gina
Justin,
go for a
for
kill
9,
shot on the off
10.
chance that Justin hits a 4. He's been hitting some of them, but there's a nice throw there by Justin. But she's just got to work on that release point consistently
6-4.
before she can start moving around and
44-38.
playing with the board.
Justin Smith puts an exclamation point on this victory with a bullseye. He gets the win over Gina Feenstra, 44-38.
Yeah, so Justin with another impressive win here. He had that bullseye there on his 10th throw, 3 5s from his 3rd to 5th throw. He did have that 2 on that 6th throw, but made a nice adjustment to correct that. So he improves his record to 3-2 and a nice score of 44. Definitely a competitor who's starting to move in the right direction, although he's very young in the league, but maybe could make waves come tournament time. And then for Gina, as we saw with her throw, just a lot of motion going on with that, and that just can create a lot of different variables that can be problematic, So that's why she had a 2 there on her 3rd throw and a 2 on her 8th throw. She got stuck in the vortex there, but she did have that bullseye on that 2nd throw, which is something she can hopefully build on.
We've got a couple more matches still to come here in week number 2. Stay tuned for more Battle Axe here on MC22. Welcome back to Battle Axe here on MC22, coming to you as always from the Bustin' Axe Throwing Range in Dubuque. I'm Joey Danya alongside Bobby Bradford. It's been a great week number 2, and we've still got a couple more matches to go before we put a bow on this thing.
Yeah, it's been a great week, too, so far. We've seen a lot of players growing, some new players getting their throw down, and looking forward to these next 2 matches.
Let's get right to it. First up, it's going to be Gina Feenstra taking on Michelle Frummelt.
Yeah, so we saw Gina in her last matchup versus Justin Smith. with some erratic throws here, but if she can start to really hone it in, kind of shorten it up a little bit, I think she can give Michelle a run for her money. Michelle coming in at 3-2. She had a nice match with Leroy to get the her night started. She fell 43 to 48,
4-4.
but had some nice throws.
Well, a couple of fours to get this one started between Frummelt and Feenstra.
Yeah, so Michelle, she's got to just focus up on that middle part of the board. No wobbly axes.
3-5.
There's a nice throw there.
A little wobbly, but it's a 5 for Michelle Frummelt, and we'll see if that one is a
Coming.
4 or a 3 for Gina Feenstra.
Yeah, it looks like it could be popping through on the bottom part of that blade for a 4.
I know.
As we can see there from our side camera. Oh, that's razor thin, Joey.
Yep, you're good.
So then rule to 4.
Yep.
So
All
popping
I
through in the
need
bottom
is
part of that
one
blade.
touch it, take it.
So that makes it a 1-point game. Michelle Frummelt out to the early lead.
Ooh, and a nice
4-6.
bullseye there from Michelle. So she's moving in the right direction, starting the game off with 4, 5, and 6. See if
Yeah,
she
no
goes.
wobble there.
No wobble there. That was a nice
All right,
flush
throw
bullseye,
4.
15 to 12. So yeah, that's the kind of consistent throw. All 3 of Michelle's throws have been really consistent, actually. As we say, not all misses are the same. So even that 4, very close to
Throw
being a 5.
Michelle's up by 5.
And Gina holding on to that just a little too long. A lot of that variables in her throw are creeping in. Good release point there by Michelle. And then an overcorrection there by Gina.
4-3.
So another point
17,
for
23.
Michelle
Michelle's
Frummelt
up by
to
6
add to her
with
lead,
Zach.
which is now 6.
So competitors will switch the sides. Maybe the change of scenery will help Gina. But all she needs is just a couple good throws in a row to get that momentum going.
Right now, all of the momentum is with Michelle Frummelt. We'll see if she can keep that going.
4.
That could be a bullseye for Gina, but rule to 3. She gets a closer look and chooses not to elect a second opinion. So Michelle able to get another point on Gina. And there's probably the first bad throw we've seen from Michelle all game long here,
4-4.
but still a 4. Able to match points with Gina.
Yeah, she was lucky. That one got
Throw
just over the
number
4
8.
ring, so no damage done for Michelle Frummelt.
Let's see how she responds, if it's going to be a quick fix here. Yeah, it looks like a quick fix. It looks like it could be a 4, possibly a 5. And a nice throw there by Gina.
Flush bullseye from Gina Feenstra when she needed it most. That gets her within 5 with 2 throws to go.
Yep, and that's the kind of throw. We know she has it in her back pocket. She just has to be able to find it consistently. You can see Michelle kind of holding on to axe a little bit too long. There's a better throw there by Gina, getting closer and closer to that consistent 4, 5, and 6 ring, not as erratic as some of her throws
Number
earlier in
10.
the night.
Michelle's up by 5.
Final throw coming here. Michelle Frummelt looking to put this one away.
Yep, just want something positive here for Gina as well. Just something to keep building. She's had 2 good throws in a row. Oh, and you can
4-2.
see just holding on to that axe just a little bit too long.
Michelle Frummelt
43,
with a
36.
consistent round of 43
Michelle's
to
gonna
get
take
the
that
win over Gina Feenstra.
Go.
Yeah, I think consistent's the right word, Joe. You can see Michelle got stuck in that vortex from that 4th throw on, but really she had a really nice consistent throw. All those 4s are very close to being 5s. She did kind of start to fall off towards the end, holding on that axe just a little bit too long, but still improves her record to 4-2 with a nice score of 43. And then for Gina, she had that really nice flush bullseye there on her 8th throw. She followed it up with a really nice 4 on her 9th throw as well. Unfortunately for her, just too many variables in her throw. She had that 2 on her 4th throw and a 2 on the 10th throw, but that should give her hope, though, to know that she has that bullseye throw in her. She's just got to consistently find it.
Well, Gina Feenstra is going to get right back out there and try to rebound after coming up a little short here to Michelle Frummelt. It'll be Gina Feenstra taking on Eric the Scope Shizzle.
Yeah, so model of consistency as well. Eric comes in at 1-1. He's been really consistent with the left hand in week 2. We'll see how Gina gets this started here. And sailing on her a little bit.
2,
And a
4.
4 there for Eric.
So Gina Feenstra. It's tough sometimes going back to back,
It is.
especially when you're not throwing well and you're trying to get things going.
Exactly.
We'll see if she can have a short memory and flush that last loss to Michelle Frummelt.
Well, you never want to practice, during the game. That's what practice is for, is to work out the kinks and stuff. But you can see
Got it on
that's
the
a
top.
better
I just
throw there by
double
Gina.
check. Negative.
But you never want to try to work on
4,
things in the
5.
middle of a competition. You want to have your game kind of solidified so that you can execute and play to the best of your ability.
Nice 5 there from Eric the Scope. He's got a 3-point lead after the first couple of throws.
And you got to wonder with Eric, too, is fatigue kind of creeping in? This is his week 1, and especially with throwing with the left-handed, which he hasn't done in quite some time. Great throw there by Gina.
6.
That is exactly how you get back on track. A nice flush bullseye from Gina Feenstra. So she gets within a point after a 4 from Eric the Scope.
And what we want to see from Gina here to follow up is another consistent throw. It doesn't have to be a bullseye. It doesn't have to be a 5. It just has to be inside, that sphere of consistency. And I did trademark that, Joey. So
We'll see if she goes outside to try and get another bullseye. That one gets away from her.
And that's just the killers of a round. When you have a nice flush bullseye and then you throw
3, 4.
when you throw something like that, it's devastating.
It
It not only puts you
touches.
behind the 8 ball, you're down by 2 to Eric the Scope, but you just don't have the confidence to go and try to replicate
Number-
that
this is
bullseye
number
throw that you
5.
had on your third throw.
Eric by 2.
Well, she'll try to do it again here to get back on track and back in this game.
For Eric, just a great throw there. What a release point. Really nice. And that's a good
4,
release
6.
point there by Gina. That was the kind of throw I wanted her to have on her fourth throw.
Nice first
So a
half.
bullseye from Eric the
Go ahead and
Scope.
switch sides.
He'll take a 4-point lead into the second half.
Yeah, Eric has just got a really nice, easy release
Going to
point
throw
with his
6,
left
you-
hand.
Eric up by 4.
A real pretty throw. Axe hitting the wood, nice and flush.
It's a lot of fun to watch.
You can see he's off the mark, but that's the kind of
4.
that's the last thing you want too, because that looked like it was going for at least a 5, possibly a bullseye there, Joey.
A devastating drop from Gina Feenstra to start the second half of this one, as Eric the Scope now has a commanding lead, 27-19, with 4 throws to go.
And it was something that we've seen Gina kind of remove from her game as the drops. We always talked about the progression of a
6,
thrower.
4.
When new throwers come in, they can sometimes get caught with that drop bug. And for her, she really eliminated that. It was kind of moving into the consistent throwing portion of her
This
career.
is number 8.
So hopefully the drop is an anomaly and not something that it will add to her.
Eric the Scope starting to heat up another bullseye,
Looks like,
and he just missed another one.
yeah, it looks like he was going for that upper left-hand side
See if we got
bullseye.
her on the bottom here.
Off the mark, though.
3 and 3. Clearly.
Couple threes there.
Well, with a 10-point advantage and 2 throws to go,
This is
think
I'd
we all-
expect a
Eric
kill shot is
by
coming from Eric the
10.
Scope.
I think we all
Going
know
up.
what he's doing, and he just called for it right there. But I love the strategy. I mean, if you do this every match, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose. I mean, he's in the position to come away with the victory here, but the throw is more valuable than the record. And that's very close. I don't think he got popping through on the right-hand side.
Yep. Looks like a 5. Yes, it's a 5.
And Gina with a nice 5 there on her 9th throw, so we've talked about it before. That's something to build on, so let's see if she can follow it up with another
right.
consistent throw here on her 10th
Number-
throw.
Sorry. Number 10 going up again.
Yeah,
on
and
the
at the
left.
end of the day, in terms of the record,
Eric up by
it's the
5.
points that set the postseason field. So
Correct.
the more points you pile up, the higher your seed. Best way to pile up the points, get those kill shots.
Exactly. Going for the kill shot. He's off the mark. And looks like a 4 there for Gina, possibly a 3 if it's not popping through in the bottom
yeah,
side of
it's a
that
4.
blade, but rule of 4 there by Jill Kedley.
0.
So it is Eric the Scope
Eric
getting the
still takes
victory,
that by 1.
36-35 over Gina Feenstra.
Yeah, so Eric comes away with the victory here, going for those kill shots very aggressively on the 9th and 10th throw. Still had the points to work with to know that he could come out the victor. For Gina, though, she just got to put those consistent throws together. She had that bullseye there on her 3rd throw. She was very much in this game. She did have the devastating drop on the 6th throw, but consistently putting one good throw into the next good throw is the next phase of her game. Something that we know she can do. Possibly it's just the rust of not playing in some leagues recently. So we'll see if she can figure that out for the rest of the season. But for Eric, model of consistency. I know he's probably disappointed he doesn't have more bullseyes on his scorecard, but those are right around the corner with how consistently he's throwing.
And there is a long way to go before we get to the postseason. 2 weeks down, 5 more to go. Let's take a look at the league standings after 2 weeks of competition.
Well, here it is. No surprise. We see Matt, the Magic Man Bradshaw at 8-0, averaging just a little over 55 points a game, followed by Leroy Kedley, who's rising up the ranks at number 2. Michelle Fremelt's in the 3rd spot. We have Ann Welp in the 4th. Justin Smith, Gina Feenstra, Jill Kedley at 5-3 at the 7th spot. Eric Chisholm making up his first-round games. He's in the 8th spot. Nancy Kramer's in the 9th, and Beth Jen rounds it out in the 10th spot, but she's working on the throw, and I don't think she's going to be staying in the 10th spot for long.
Well, that's going to do it for this week of Battle Axe. For Bobby the Blade and the entire MC22 crew, I'm Joey Danya signing off. We'll see you next time here on Battle Axe.